G'day, welcome one and all to the next installment of Guvs Hero Impression review videos. This time we are going to be taking a look at the seasonal event hero, Krampus. So Krampus is the 5-star purple Goatman hero from the Christmas seasonal event. Being a seasonal event hero, Krampus is of extremely limited summons availability. His window is only open during the Christmas period. However, it does run for the entire month of December, so you do have quite a wide window to be able to summon him for. Also, being a seasonal event hero, you can use your epic hero tickets in an attempt to summon for the seasonal heroes during that portal. As I mentioned, he is a purple 5-star hero and has the title of being the Punisher of the Wicked. Krampus has been in the game for quite a while now. He was added in the original release of the Christmas seasonal portal 3 or 4 years ago now. We can't really call it a seasonal event at this stage because after 3+ years we still don't actually have an event attached to the Christmas portal, so it's just a portal to me. I'll flip over to my copy of Krampus and we'll have a look at his artwork because it does draw on a lot of those traditional tropes of the Krampus character from German and Austrian Christmas traditions. Interestingly though, the legend of Krampus actually dates further back, all the way back into Norse mythology, where legend has him to be the son of Hel, the goddess of death. However, as Christianity became a thing, Krampus was kind of dragged into the Christmas mythos as the demon monster counterpart to Saint Nick, who punished misbehaving children at Christmas time. So in-game, Krampus draws on a lot of those elements of the goat demon man. So he's got goat legs, he's got the goat horns, he's even got glowing demon eyes, and for corniness, he's got a goatee beard. So yeah, that's Krampus. So we'll head back over to the portal and his card, and we'll start having a look at some of his other stats and stuff. So he is a member of the Jingle family, which will, each time Krampus fires his special skill, will summon an elf minion for himself with 8% HP and 8% attack, inherited from his own stats. For each unique or additional unique hero of the same family, the elf minion will gain an additional 2% HP and 2% attack. So this family bonus, in my opinion, is probably the worst in the game. The only thing that's worse than it is the vanilla and hero of the month family bonus, which just doesn't exist. So I think it could be a lot more effective if it summoned minions for multiple people, or that minion was actually decent. 8% is one of the worst minions that you can summon, so yeah, I just feel like it's undercooked and it could be a lot better without doing any real harm to the game. Anyway, in terms of his personal stats, so he has an attack stat of 634 attack, 770 defense, and 1365 HP. So there is a little bit of skewing towards the defense and HP stats, which is good because it does lead to additional survivability, which is essentially what you want him to do. You want him to survive in order to fire his special skill, which we'll get to in a little bit, as many times as possible. His charge speed is set to 53 average, which requires 10 tiles to charge or 5 ghosted tiles. To achieve a speed break down to 9 tiles, you do only need a +5 speed weapon, which is possible using either of the 5-star purple speed weapons in the game. So you've got the +6 on the Pearl Scale Convex, and there's a +9 on the Explosion B90. So because you can do it on either of those weapons, there's no real relevancy to the class speed node. Speaking of his class, he is a member of the Recon class, which grants him the chance to evade damage coming in from special skills. On each successful evasion, they do receive a 20% charge, which is pretty awesome. So I do love this talent. Generally speaking, it is discrete chance to dodge the damage. It's not tied to other dodge bonuses and that kind of thing, so it means that you've got 2 opportunities to essentially ignore the damage from special skills. It is only the direct damage from the special skill that gets evaded. You still do get all of like the DOT and any status ailments that come in as well. In terms of an emblem path, I'll just pull up my Krampus again because I would recommend doing a defense HP route. So we can see on mine here, I've sort of started it off. I've picked up the 2 defense HP routes. At nodes 8, I'd probably go the HP As I said, the speed node doesn't really do too much, and that HP node is percent based. Then we'll come and pick up additional HP and defense down towards the bottom of the tree. I probably wouldn't do the plus 18 node, and I definitely wouldn't do 19 and 20. It's just too many emblems for not really any benefit. So yeah, so that's what I would do. That'll give him additional survivability, and it'll also make his minions slightly, like very, very slightly, like 1 or 2 HP better as well. Yeah, so heading back over, I said go away, heading back over to the portal and his card, and we can have a look at some of his skill. So his skill is titled You Better Watch Out, and at level 10 and 53 average speed will deal 155% damage to all enemies, and will steal all buffs, all dispellable buffs from all enemies, and randomly distribute them on all allies, and it will lift all cleansable ailments from the allies, and it will randomly distribute them on the enemies. A lot going on with that, but there is a little note here saying that even if the hero dies from counterattack, they'll still do the stealing and redistributing anyway. That one's interesting because way back, it was probably 2 years ago now, I did report this as a bug where Krampus would die from counterattack in his first line of his skill, and then would still do the second and third lines. Typically, the order of battles is that if they die midway through their execution, they don't do the other aspects of their skill, and support actually acknowledged this as a bug and said it was going to get patched out in, well, they pushed it out a couple of versions each time, but it seems that they've decided that it's too much effort or too difficult or whatever to actually fix, and instead it's easier just to put a little note there and change their response to working as intended. Anyway, breaking that skill down a little bit, we'll start with the direct damage because that is one of the easiest aspects to compare. I like comparing damage on an attack power per tile basis. So attack power is their attack stat multiplied by the percentage in their special skill. So in the case of Krampus, Krampus has 634 attack and 155% in his skill, which leads to an attack power of 983, and that's to each enemy. So if there's 5 enemies, it's multiplied by 5. On a per tile basis, so this normalizes it against their speed because some heroes are faster, some heroes are slower. So Krampus needs 10 tiles to charge, so that comes out at just a 98 in his attack power per tile. Comparing that to some other 5-star purple heroes that do damage to 5 enemies, some common ones you might have seen around Unicorn. Unicorn comes in at 115 attack power per tile. Sarge, who's a newer hero, comes in at 172 attack power per tile. In fact, the only hero that's actually worse than Krampus in his direct damage is base level Vigo, so with no variant or anything like that. That comes in at 94 attack power per tile. So realistically, Krampus has fairly poor damage output compared with other 5-star AoE 5 damage dealers, but realistically, none of the 5-star purple AoE 5 heroes actually do much damage. The exception is Sarge. Realistically though, if you're wanting a lot of damage output for a hero on a specific enemy, you'll just bring along a sniper. DOA 5 heroes are usually best for their secondary effects, and Krampus is really no exception. So moving on to the other elements of his skill, I'm going to talk to them as if they're like one ability because it is effectively the same thing. So the rest of his skill is kind of a switcheroo of status effects. So the enemy will lose all of their buffs and they'll be randomly given to your team, and all of the status ailments on your team will be randomly given to the enemy. So there's 2 key things to note with this. 1, the status effects have to be dispellable or cleansable. Any effect that has listed "this effect cannot be cleared" is unfortunately immune to Krampus. So there are a couple examples of that that are around, but yeah. There is also the second thing to note, which is that the status effects are all randomly distributed. So what this means is that you can have 5 heroes who are poisoned, and it may be a situation where there's one enemy hero actually gets randomly assigned all 5 sets of poison. That'll result in 4 of them being overwritten and only 1 poison actually remaining. Similarly, you could steal 5 attack buffs from the enemy, but end up only with 1 or 2 of your heroes actually getting a buff because they are randomly distributed onto your heroes. There's nothing saying that each hero can only gain 1 of a given type of buff. But yeah, anyway, I don't think I really need to go into too much detail or explicit detail explaining how useful this effect can be. It acts not only as a full team cleanse and a full enemy dispel, but it also just reverses them around as well. So it's a very, very powerful effect. And the fact that they've now made it so that even if he dies from counterattack, it still does the rest of it, means that he is actually quite useful even in the current meta of Ayumi tanks or future tanks where there's other situations going. So overall, very, very, very useful skill on attack, and it's actually also quite disruptive on defense because you're kind of playing around with your special skill timings, going, is Krampus going to fire? Am I going to lose my buffs? What of these ailments that I'm giving out are actually going to be given back to me? So it is quite disruptive even on a defense setting. So overall, for Krampus's gradings, I do rate him fairly highly. So for raid and war attacks, I do give him an A. Fantastic hero, very, very good at controlling a battlefield when he gets himself rolling. For war machines and events though, I do drop him down to a C just because his damage output is quite low and there's no real requirement to have a buff and ailment distribution happening in there. For raid and war defense, I'm going to give him a B-. There was actually a time when he was a meta defender, but that kind of started falling away, mostly when Unicorn and Hypernova got added to the game. Before that, he was probably the prime choice flank you could have for wartime. So still a very good hero for defense situations, just because he makes the attacker think. And in players that are just playing and not thinking, will actually get burnt by him quite hard. In the tournament, so Bloody Battle, A and a B-, no real change there. Buff Booster, A+ and a B, just because everyone likes putting buffs out, so a hero that steals buffs is even better. And Charged Attack, back to an A and a B-. So overall, because of the poor War Machine and event side of things, it does drop him down to a B+ overall for attack situations, and a B- for defense situations. So that's his overall grading. So yeah, that really concludes the content I have for this review of Krampus. As always, this is just my personal opinion. I love hearing your thoughts and feedback on these heroes and these videos, so please do drop down into the comment section of the video, drop me a note. I do love reading them and I will reply to as many as I possibly can. If you found this video to be useful, like it, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, but most importantly, share the video around to your ally mates. So if you found the video to be useful to you, chances are it's also going to be useful to other players that you play with also. So thanks once again for tuning in and joining me for this review of Krampus. Good luck with your summons and happy gaming. Cheers. Bye.